I think the purpose of change is a difficult question to answer because I don't know if there's any one specific answer to
What
that.
about this? Do you think it's to make you grow? What if the purpose of change is to actually make you better? And if we framed our thoughts around that, would we be less resistive to it? Because if you think about it, most of your growth comes from a change. A change in the book you're reading, a change in locations, a change in careers, a change in family.
Yeah.
But but I think we have such a I don't know exactly how we've gotten to this point in our humanity, but we have such a desire to control the variable of change.
Yeah.
And almost resist change, even though we know it's going to be better for us. Like the people that know they need to quit smoking.
Right.
If they quit smoking, they know they will be healthier.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some physiological stuff, but there's also a huge mental piece that says they just don't want change.
Right. And I think some of those, like, a cigarette example, that's easy to know that, hey, this is a change you need to accept and flow with, and it would make your life better, right? There are some situations like that, but I think there's also some situations that it's really hard to know the right answer. So for you, Jared, how do you know when to resist change or to accept it?
Quite honestly, lately, if it scares me, I should probably do it. Because why would I be afraid of things? Like, I've done quite a bit in my life, and if something new is like, oh, man, I don't know about, like that driving the other day.
Yeah.
Like, we could have easily just pulled over and stopped. We could have got a hotel room. Like, we had the means to get a hotel room. We could have just called the gym and be like, hey, I'll be back a day later. Like, we had the ability.
Right.
But part of it is like, I've never hauled a trailer in a blizzard. You know what I mean? And then, so I'm like, well, we should probably do it. And it was cool because Andrew was with me. I was like, what do you think? If she'd have been like, no, pull over now and get a hotel, I'd be like, okay, I don't want to scare her this much. But she's like, I don't know, we're this close.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, let's go. So that's big for me but also I like to remind myself that I don't want to live the same day over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I instinctively need to look for changes.
Yeah.
Because that to me is a fear, right? Is like, and it's something I've never wanted. It's caused me issues in the past, some fights with people and just arguments. But I don't want to wake up today and have the exact same routine I had yesterday and the exact same routine I had the day before. Like, that's hard for me to accept. Like, that's literally my life, like the same routine every day. So I think it's a big thing that helps you accept change is realizing change is occurring all around you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you managing it and planning for it and using it to become your best, or are you hiding from it and just staying who you are? And so that's kind of how I look at change that comes up.
Mm. Yeah, I think for me, it's very instinctual, right? Like I was just talking to you off air about something that I'm really grappling with right now, and that's with my business of really changing courses in my career and, making an exit from being involved in the day-to-day CEO of my company and always doing that, and perhaps changing and putting someone in my place and just kind of being an advisor or just staying in it, right? And these are some of the decisions to where it can be difficult to know of like, okay, should you resist change and be like, hey, because there is something to be said for staying the course and not giving up and persistence and consistency, right? These are things that we hear pay off in the long run. But at the same time, I'm starting to feel like, you know what, there's other opportunities out there that I feel like resonate with me on a deeper level that are more truer to who I am and truer to what my soul wants. And I'm starting to feel more that I need to make a change sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think some of that is the mental approach, right? Like making a change doesn't mean you're abandoning what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
It means we're steering a different course. Now, I mean, there are some changes that are clean breaks and somebody just walks away from something and goes a completely different direction. But if you look at the majority of our changes in life, they're not just clean breaks. It's a deviation of the path we're already on, which allows us to be consistent, right? It allows all the positive attributes of what we've learned to come with us. And that's to me, I think sometimes people are hesitant to make change because they think if I make a change, I'm quitting. If I make a change, I'm giving up. And I don't see it that way. Like if I, like kind of like you were just saying, like I had done 21 years as a police officer. I could have done plenty more for sure. I just didn't want to. Like I just didn't want to do it anymore. It's like kind of like you're saying today. Like I was waking up, I was like, man, I don't really want to be there all day again today. So why not make a change? And I don't think it was quitting. I don't think it was giving up. I did the time I thought to do, and now I moved on. And a lot of times, I think what people fail to realize is when you make changes, when you embrace change, a lot of times you inspire others to make changes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you let them see what's possible. Like I hope one of the things my kids take from all this is I retired from a whole career at 46 years old. I can't tell you how many people I know that are still working into their late 60s because they're afraid of the change retirement brings.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a good friend who's lived that, and and by the time he retired, he went right to health issues, and so he has a ton of money in his retirement accounts, but now he doesn't have the health to really enjoy them, and that the fear of not changing makes me change probably earlier than most. But at the end of the day, I would regret not trying things. I'd regret not accepting change far more than I would be happy sitting back wondering what if.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we got to realize the one constant in life is change. Every day you wake up, you're changed. You're a day older.
Right.
If nothing else, you're a day older. That's change.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're a day wiser, a day better. But that change is coming from work you're putting in every day. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not a big believer in I just, you wake up and have crazy ideas and just go flying off, right? I think that's kind of what you're going back to is like, that's not consistent. That's not change that's going to create positive results. But even for me, like, retiring at that age, I had planned for 5 years up to that point. I had other businesses. I had other things I was doing so that when I retired, I just didn't walk away and have nothing. Like I had created a whole new platform.
Right.
Which is planning for change, right? Instead of just, and I think that's where I see a lot is people, they have a calendar marking down to when they're going to retire or, when they're getting done with school, some kind of monumental event that just ends, but they don't really know what's next. And then when they get there, there's that void of trying to figure out what am I supposed to be doing. Whereas I think you kind of plan for that along the way by dabbling, experimenting, and seeing what you like.
Yeah, I think that can be really rewarding though, is taking that leap without having the plan sometimes, taking that massive action of, you know what? I'm going to move to another city or another town, and I don't know anyone. I'm just going to figure it out.
But let me ask you this. Do you think most people can do that if they haven't practiced accepting smaller changes along the way?
No.
See, that's my point, right? Like you may just call me, trust me, I know this is possible. You may call me and be like, hey, we got to record remote next week because I moved to Texas over the weekend. Like, I fully expect, you could do that.
Uh-huh.
Whereas on the outside, if I look at it, that was dude, you just made that decision in one day. But the reality is you didn't. You've been making changes slowly that led you to the point where you're like, fuck it, let's just pack up, move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what people got to realize is life isn't usually huge changes at once. It's a bunch of small changes over time that lead you to a new path if you're open to them and you're accepting them.
Mm-hmm.
Simple changes such as instead of walking by strangers, greeting strangers. Instead of sitting alone at a coffee shop playing on your phone, maybe you start a conversation with the person on the table next to you, right? One change, that's a change. But maybe that person has an idea, or maybe they started a new business and they need somebody that has the skills you have. But if you hadn't took a change, right, took a chance to talk to them, you would never had the opportunity. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we have this idea that change in life, one, it's bad, and two, it's overly drastic all the time, because that's what movies are, right? Like, but in reality, you look at our world, and our changes are usually pretty small. A simple change like you talk about all the time, reading. What if I make the change today to watch an hour less of TV and read an hour more? And I do that for 3 months. That's a change.
Positive change.
Could be, depending on what kind of books you're reading. But all of a sudden now you have more knowledge. And now maybe that knowledge you gleaned maybe makes you realize you've always wanted to go to Italy. So you've been reading books on conversational Italian language and places to go visit in Rome and times to get the best airline tickets, and right? And now all of a sudden you pack your bags and you take a sabbatical and you go travel to Italy. Well, to the outside person, it looks like you just made that decision overnight. But realistically, you've been changing slowly by gathering information and talking for months.
Yeah. I think it's Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, who said, to change your circumstances, you don't need to change your environment. You need to change yourself.
For sure.
You need to make the changes within your habits, within your routines, and that's when your life starts to change, is when you change yourself. And I think a lot of times, sometimes we feel like we need to change what's going on the outside, right? The change of moving somewhere, doing something. But even if you move to another town and you still have all the same habits and you can build all the same routines that you were doing over there, then you're going to see not much in your life is going to change.
No, geography can change all the time. But if you are doing the exact same things, you're going to have the same results, for sure. I actually just had that conversation with somebody at the gym that was having an issue, and he comes in and he's like, we're moving. I was like, where are you moving? He tells me, and it's like a few states away. And I'm like, why are you moving there? Well, we're just not getting along with people here. I'm like, all the people? Yeah. I'm like, what's the common denominator? It's you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so you're going to move, you're going to take all your problems to a new state. Guess what? You're going to find people there that you can't get along with as well. No, I agree. But I will tell you, and if you talk to Andrea, she'll tell you, my initial response to change a lot of times, especially for her changes for me, is to be like, dude, and I don't want to do that. And she's gotten better at realizing, like, if she gives me some time, I'll usually figure out the opportunities in it. But I would say even for me, who's kind of pretty good at change, and I don't mind change, my initial response a lot of times is to not want to take it on.